Hey, yo, we're back.
We are back.
Just us.
Just us.
It's been a minute.
When was the last time we done one of these this year?
Oh, this year, no.
I don't think so, yeah.
I don't even think even like the last 6 months we done one.
Yeah.
I can't even remember the last card we broke down.
Yeah, but here we are. It's cool though. A lot of people have been wanting to talk to us, which is nice.
Yeah, that's good. You know, it's good that we kind of got a lot of followers. You know, just getting from all over the world as well, which is kind of amazing, really.
Yeah, and it's like kind of people source our guests for us as well. Like everyone knows who they want to hear from, and
yeah,
people are pretty keen to talk. So
it's been cool. It's lucky that a lot of the people that they want to see, and it's like, they're pretty approachable. Like they push it down at times to do it, and it's really cool. And hopefully we continue that trend. Got a few more guests lined up. But today was just one of those days where I was looking at the schedule, and go, hey, I haven't actually booked anyone in, which is a nice change.
Yeah, it's nice.
We can talk about some of the stuff that's been going on, some of the stuff in Thailand is going there, and we got to send a few questions as well, which were addressed. And there's a couple of local shows going on also.
So we'll just shoot the shit basically.
Yeah. We reckon we should start locally or internationally?
Let's start local.
Local. Yeah, cool. So let's see here. So yourself,
yes,
you're fighting next week. You and Cobra Kai.
Yeah, we got that too. I don't know. It would have been cool. Like we're coming back to. It's been a while since we've had a fight.
Yeah.
Actually, no. We did have a couple on in December, but it's been a while since we've had kind of like a proper card in Sydney. We had like a bunch of guys lined up. It would have been pretty sweet to get everyone on, but as tends to be the case, I was talking to some people in the gym and they're like, oh, it was going to be like 5 of us on it. And it's like, yeah, but I knew it was never going to be 5 of us. Like, even if it was booked, like, that's just how it goes. But, dwindled down to just myself and my apprentice.
Yeah, that's it. It's like, it's actually been over a year since Kai's been in the ring. It's been nationals.
Yeah, it's been forever. And hasn't fought in that kind of sort of, I don't know what you could, I would say the pro format. He's still an amateur fighter, but his last.
You got that IFMA format.
Yeah. Since he's fought outside of the IFMA format, but the kid's absolutely raring to go. Oh, yeah. He's a fucking demon, actually. Yeah, he's getting really good. He's getting really, really good.
He's solid. He's really if anything, like the last year, like most people were like wrote last year off, but like a few people like took it upon themselves to like really hammer out some things and and get some growth from it. The best that you can out of the situation.
Now I can't knock his hustle over the whole of the last year. Like he never lost like the optimism that he'd get to fight, which would have been really frustrating because like I told him over and over again, like we're not fighting for a long time, but he's just got that narrow-minded kind of optimism when he's like, when do you think fights will come back? And be like, and we're talking in like when the gyms are still shut, like just doesn't have like that. All he's just thinking about is when the next one is. But he kept fighting basically as though he kept training as though he had a fight basically the whole time. Like he trains like a demon. But he's looking strong. Like he's developed a lot. He's developed as much as you can possibly develop without getting in the ring in the last year. Like a lot of stylistic changes, he's rounded out a lot, getting bigger and stronger as well, which is good. Like it just comes with the age. I'm really looking forward to seeing him fight. I think it's going to be good.
Yeah, it's good. So the promotion that's on as well. It's their maiden voyage into the promotion game. 1774.
1774. Yeah.
1774. Cool. What's the story behind that?
1774 is the year of Naikanam Tom, the godfather of Muaythai kind of story. So like a historical year as it goes. So that's what the promotion named after. And the birth year of Muaythai, as the fable suggests.
Yeah, and what is the brains behind that? Aram and Michael Green.
Aram and Mick Green are going to put on a show. Been in talks. Aram's been in talks to put a show on for a little while. And I know Michael Green kind of was looking to get back. He's done a little bit of promoting before. Was going to do. I've spoken to him a little bit over the last couple of years, and him putting on a show has been in the plans for a little while. Just who he was going to partner with on it. Change, and then him and Aram ended up linking up, and they both train out of Aram's gym sisters on now, so they kind of put their heads together on it. They put together a pretty sweet card.
Yeah, look, it's a pretty good card, and we'll do a bit of a breakdown of it as well. Let's go your fight first.
Let's start with me.
So you and Jesse James March from Full Force Gym.
Yeah, it's just like this is a good fight. I'm excited for this fight.
Not giving away any game plans and stuff, but stylistically wise, it's good. Win.
Yeah.
Beat down.
It's funny this fight because like we were supposed to fight at the start of last year.
Yeah.
That was like the first show in New South Wales that got axed.
Yeah, the first casualty.
Because of the lockdown, yeah. And then we just sit on it and then first one back, we just pick up where we left off, right? But I kind of talk to people about this fight and they go, oh, yeah, sick. And they go, what happened the last time you guys fought again? Or like, how many times have you fought? It's like, yeah, we haven't fought. Just kind of one of those inevitable fights. Like, it's got to happen. I like Jesse's style.
Veteran of the game, been around.
Yeah, like I feel like that's kind of like both sides of this is like young veterans. Yes. Like I'm not super old, and Jesse even younger than me, but both pretty experienced guys. Like Jesse been around, I think even a bit longer than I have. Been fighting since he was a kid. So I feel like both young guys, but fairly experienced. It's a nice style match. I think it's going to be a real war. Jesse brings a lot of things to a fight that I bring as well. He really pushes a good pace. He's got a nice technique, but I'm not scared of a dogfight either. I think it's going to be that's what I'm anticipating over 5 rounds is a good, strong.
Yeah, like every time that Jesse's gone out, like he's always had a good showing of himself. And I like his like composure to the game. Like when he has to like have a fight, he has to. But other than that, he'll just try and pick away a lot until try and make the mistakes out of his opponent. Yeah,
he reads well. He has a good kind of, like you say, 5-round composure, plays at a good pace, but can stop a fight early too. He's quite tricky. Dangerous opponent for sure. It's the kind of fight that you get certain opponents that you really get excited, like you hear about and like Jesse's fought a lot of the top guys, and no one's ever, whether he wins or whether he loses, no one's ever had an easy fight with him. He's that kind of fighter. He pushes everyone. And like a guy such as Jesse, you don't like the room for development is so high. He's a young dude. You don't really know what he's going to come out with. I've got to be ready for whatever. But I'm really excited for this fight. It's been a long time since I got to fight at home.
There's a live stream. Purchase that live stream.
Yeah, I mean, I think I still got some tickets.
Tickets as well. Yeah. Hit up your boy for tickets.
Yeah, but no, I'm looking forward to it. I think taking a very structured approach to I'll probably get into it more after the fight, but like really have gone into this one. Like I came into this fight like I think to word what I'm trying to say is like when you fight for a long time. I haven't actually really been fighting for a long time, but I've had a lot of fights.
Yeah, experience.
Yeah, it's very easy. I feel like stagnation is something that creeps in. And I'm not to say that my game has become stagnant, but I think you can get used to just doing things because it's the way that you do them. And I think like we kind of did like a little bit of a review of how we were doing shit at the start of this year. And like it really has been a matter of kind of like I feel refreshed. I feel like I've kind of reinvigorated the way I do things. And also it's like it's just been like made some pretty major changes to not actually it's like I made some changes, but really had to analyze what didn't really need a change as well. Because I feel like that can be as much a problem as anything is when you start to be like things probably need a change. Well, and then you start to pull shit out that you don't need to.
When people think about change, they always think about like, what needs to be cut. But like, you got to have like a balanced look at stuff. You can't be just too much on the side of like, oh, I have to cut this out, but you just go, look, there's all this like, look at the stuff that works and just be real honest with yourself. And then other stuff that you just go, look, I think I might have to change this up a little bit.
And that was like I think we kind of came into this fight and it was a matter of having like some kind of fucking tricky conversations being like, right, well, how are we going to do differently? But I feel like I'm looking at everything through a different lens now.
Yep.
And there's a lot of things working well. Like I don't have to really cut any weight, which is good. Like I'm sweaty, but man, fuck, like I'm so tired today. Like this, look, it's been like to say you fucking making things fresh and different and stuff. It's been brutal at the same time. Like I really had a pretty punishing prep for this fight that I really started to feel this week, but like that's how it goes. I think
it's that last push.
That's just a sign of doing the work well. I'm looking forward now. I feel at this point that the work's kind of done. I think that's important. Like, we're 6 days from the fight. If you're not fit now, you're not going to fit. I feel fit. I feel fucking strong. Like, I think, I mean, it's been kind of like a long-term thing. I think over the course of, like, when the gym shut last year and we had to take that break, I'd never taken a break before. Like, when you think from I had my first development day fight, I think I never even took a matter of months between fights, and it kind of did give me some time to balance out and kind of gain some strength. And then, you know, weight's still low, feeling strong, like hitting hard.
Yep.
Like, yeah, everything's come together. Physically, everything's come together really well. And like, I think as well, it's just like now I really hope we're coming into another year, but we can get a little bit of normality and start to be busy again. I think as much as anything I figured out over the course of having that break from fights and then getting the one in last year is that, like, it's just really fucking a part of me. Like, I'm excited to compete. And I think also sometimes, like, I'm a very regimented thinker about fight preps and stuff like that. As I think sometimes I don't let myself just be like, yeah, this shit is fun. Like, I'm excited to compete. I'm very trying to think about, like, overthink, like, all the little pieces when really you just got to realize. Like, now it's just that thing. It's like, I'm grateful for the opportunity and I'm super excited for this fight. Like, I'm excited to just show what I've been working on and putting together. I think, I'm ready for a big night.
Can't wait either. It's gonna be awesome.
Like, I really I do feel as well. I think I get better every day or, you know, every week, every prep, but I don't think I've got as much better in a stretch of time as I have in this fight prep in a really long time. Like, just been super regimented. And that's the same thing, like, you talk about, like, I'm a very active fighter. Like, I fought 31 times in shy of 4 years. Like, that's a rate of it. Yeah, that's a lot. Like, and then I feel like when you're fighting that much, sometimes you don't get that. Like,
and it wasn't even tournament things either.
No, these were like, professional formatted fights. Like, just over the course of like a pretty, honestly, short amateur career, I just basically fought every 3 weeks. But like, and I needed that. You need that as an amateur, but I don't think I ever have had time to like kind of sit back on it. And like, obviously we got one back in. We got like not the best return last time. I thought it was fun, but it was yeah. So like, I've had some time just to think about things and realign how we do things. Like, I'm excited. I feel like I've developed a lot and then started to kick off a busier year. I'm probably never going to be as busy as I used to be be honest.
It's just pros.
Yeah.
It's just different.
Just start really working towards. I think when you're an amateur, you need to just fight to fight. Like, and I still back that. I think that's like one of the questions is similar that we'll talk about. But yeah, you need to just fight when you can fight when you're coming up. But I think, now I'm very, very kind of process driven and set on what I want to do, which is in the past. That was my point, whereas like when you're starting out, you just got to fight when fights come up because experience is as good as gold. Yeah, but now I think I have taken that time. It's the time away and now coming back, it's looking into like, what do I actually want to achieve? And like, just fight all the time is not really something to achieve. That's just showing up. What do I want? And
so it kind of plays into that stagnation, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly right. And that's something I could talk a lot to, but that's I'm excited to just use this to kick off, starting to make some moves towards what I want to do. So yeah, really excited for next weekend. And yeah, if you're not coming along, we'll post a stream. Get on there, support the team.
Excellent. So talking about some of the rest of this card from here. So a match that I'm interested to see, that you fought both of these boys before at some point. You have Jordan Barkey versus Ollie Hale.
Yeah. I forgot I fought both these guys. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting as well. Actually, this is the funny thing. I was talking to Jordan about this the other day. Jordan and I are training partners now because I work out at Sisterton a little bit. I work out Sisterton too. When I fought Jordan Barkey, the referee was Michael Green, and now the three of us are at Sisterton.
It's a small
world. Every person involved in that fight is now at Sisterton. But yeah, this is an interesting match. I think this is like the This is just like the action for action fight on this card.
It is. And like, I really liked how Ollie looked in his last fight.
Yeah, that's probably the most interesting element of this one for me is that Ollie did look like quite a changed fighter. Yeah, like Ollie, I think he's a bit of a... He's a bit of like a what you see is what you get kind of fighter. Like, you know, not... a real ring general, not kind of like a very, and he would say this himself, like he just likes to get in and out. He's a forward pressure, like likes to get going with his hands and just likes to go out and have a war. He's not, and I think that really just became that kind of forward pressure, a very right hand driven sort of style. He's really trying to just push that pace and walk over. But against Reeks, after kind of getting out techniqued in the first round of that fight, he started to kind of trick a little bit. He was moving well, piecing some elbows. He's never been an elbow fighter.
The elbows, like I was at the back of the room listening, and I was going, "Oh my god!" They're just ringing for the whole gym.
And like the demeanor's the same. Like he's just letting his elbows fly. Like he was finding them. Like these were like reasonably smart elbows, sneaking them through and kind of stopped racing his tracks a little bit in that fight and showed a bit of experience, which is so important because when I watch Ollie, I think, you know, if you look at a fighter like Ollie, like we say, he becomes a bit of a what you see is what you get fighter. You can get yourself in a point where like you're gaining too much experience to have like the book written on you, if you know what I mean. So I think it's good to see Ollie. I think he clicked into gear a little bit in that fight, and so I'll show he's been around the block. He's been here a bit. He's fought some good dudes. Especially in that fight, it was like the first round, Reese was out techniquing him, but Ollie was a more experienced guy in the ring, so he had to show some smarts, and it was good to see him demonstrate that he has the capability to do that. Because we'll look to the other side of the ring, Jordan Barkey, he's a nightmare to fight. He's really forward pressure, a very strong smothering clinch style, a very true Muay Thai style. Like I think the shining kind of example of Barkey at his best was his MTA title win against Hugh Davies, because that he drowned Hugh. Like he just over the course of 5 rounds, he's just got what you need to be a Muay Thai. He doesn't really give a shit about getting hit, like, to be honest. Like,
you need to. You need that.
Like the Muay Thais that don't give a fuck style. Like Muay Thais are not averse to absorbing a bit of damage, but to implement their own game, and he's just got that true. Aram's trained him very well to do this, like to just not. Look, Aram's a very good trainer, and he knows how to work to a guy's strengths, and you can see in Jordan's style that's what they do. Is like he doesn't try to make him an IQ fighter. He tries to just teach him how to make his game work. So he never gets tired. You won't kind of deter him with just like output. Like he's coming to try to kind of crush that space. And I do think this fight is a clash of styles. Like you've got like the big punching kind of fighter that, you know, is a little bit averse to clinching, like not super.
It's documented.
He's not like super interested in.
Even I'll even say that.
100%. He's not a fighter that wants to go out and clinch. Like he wants to play an outside game. And then you got that smothering clinching style of Jordan, but Jordan does get hit, you know, so it's a little bit of that, can Jordan close the gap?
Yeah, and especially like you know, saying before, like, you know, especially Ollie like has this newfound love for throwing elbows. Yeah, it's another layer.
A fascinating fight. Like you say, I kind of know these guys very well. Fought both, trained a lot with Jordan. Like, so it's these are the fights that you feel quite close to as far as how the style match goes, and I think it's going to be very entertaining.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I think it's just going to be that 2 different styles, but just clashing. Like it's not like a 2 different style, like a femur versus Muay Thai kind of 2 different styles. It's like 2 different styles with the same demeanor. So like, there's no backward steps. There's going to be some blood.
Oh, there is.
Probably cuts on both sides.
That's it. Get your adrenaline ready.
Like you say, Ollie likes to throw his elbows, but he's been cut a lot too.
Good guys.
Dylan Reznikov and Aram bring some adrenaline. Bring you Vaseline. Yeah.
All your cutting buds.
And that's gonna be. Don't get a white canvas.
Yeah, definitely don't.
Don't wear a white shirt. Nah, I'm really excited for that fight. I think that's the action fight of the card. It's 3 rounds as well. Which is just like, it's going to be a belter.
Yeah, it's meant to be for action.
Yeah, that's going to be an absolute belter of a fight. Excellent. Keep an eye on that one.
So this promotion, so the amateur card is run by MTA, but the main card, like because there's a couple belts on there, is a WBC card.
Yeah.
So we've got 2 WBC state titles. I'm pretty sure. Yep. So we've got the girls one to start with.
Yeah.
So we've got Davina versus Marina.
Davina.
I'm just making sure I'm not going crossing my wires.
Yeah. Davina Martin versus Marina Verissimo.
So we have Chutong versus Moyu.
Yeah. These two fought, I think you were there. They fought at Nationals last year. Yes. And that would have been, I'd have to think that would be both of their last fight because shit all going on.
I don't think, I didn't actually see the fight itself. I'm
pretty
sure.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
Very close. So I think this is a cool fight. I think it was like, Marina was definitely kind of pressing, making it a clinch game and was very effective there, like locking down positions.
Watching a fair few Marina fights, and she's a very impressive clincher.
Good, strong clincher, yeah. That's definitely her preferred style. Davina could kind of see the game she was having success landing the hands as Marina was coming in. So it was a lot of like Davina doing some good damage as Marina closed the gap, but when Marina closed the gap, she did work very well, but it was a lot of kind of positional control, landing some good knees, locking that clinch down. You won't get a lot of love for that in the IFMA rules, so I wonder how the approach will differ in a professional format. It was razor close. Like, it was a coin flip fight. I know both corners. Think it was there, so it's only right to do it again.
Yeah, of course.
And a good fight to get a title out in a sort of a sometimes neglected kind of lower weight range for the girls, because these two are real beautiful stylists, real strong up and comers.
Like Marina, it's got a fair bit of experience, but Davina herself, like, not as much experience, but like the style that she has, like, like you wouldn't guess it.
Yeah, absolutely. I really like this fight. Good to see just back on the books as far as after a close one at the IFMAs. Looking forward to see it. Like you said, Marina is very, very experienced, and not just in a number of fights sense. Like, she's fought like really, really top end girls. Like, has fought
all across Australia, nationally.
Like, fought Kim Townsend and has fought at a real high level. So, yeah, and I think it does have a bit of a... I don't know. I feel like Marina's kind of just like a veteran by nature of getting in there with veterans, but he's actually still quite young in her career too. So, yeah, really looking forward to that one. I think that's an ace match.
Can't sleep on that match.
Yeah, and good to see, I think, that like we've got the WBC back in New South Wales. Very exciting with the work that WBC's been doing all over the world. And I think it's good to see that getting like... the WBC is one of the most forward-thinking sanctions as far as really trying to get some exposure on female Muay Thai, because it's like we have, especially in Australia, like excellent female Muay Thai, and I think just being the niche sport that it is, it can be easy to kind of ignore, I guess, sort of just like promoting and categorizing the female divisions, because you can get this somewhat unstructured situation where like you've got a lot of high-end female fights, but you don't have like a ranking system or titles for them to work towards, because the sort of structural elements kind of just get reserved for the men. So that's really good to see that that's kind of like a first order of business, because if we're bringing the WBC back to New South Wales and Australia, like we've got the talent to show for it. So I think, I'm glad to see that right off the bat.
Yeah, definitely. So going into like the main event itself, from there's we have Jamie Allen versus like a late replacement, and guy that you fought, Dan Marshall. But like originally the match was like Cruz Briggs, and like obviously the Jamie versus Daniel's a great match, but like it's been done before, like all like
we commentated it,
we did, and then like. But like really looking forward to that Cruz Briggs versus Jamie, because like it's just something we haven't seen, either. But like just how it goes sometimes. I
think for this fight, look, I think this is a positive showing for a first-time show that they lost their main event like 10 days out or some shit.
Yeah.
But they still put together like a cracker main event. Like, I think that's a good like promotional hurdle to jump over, I guess. Like, I like this fight. I like it a lot. Jamie and Dan, as you mentioned, fought before. at Yokkao. That was close.
It was a great fight.
Yeah, it was a great fight. A good technical battle.
Was it a 3-rounder or was it
that was a 5-rounder?
A 5-rounder?
Yeah. A good technical battle. Some really nice clinch exchanges. Dan was real happy with the trip. The trips and dumps in that fight.
Yeah.
Did have a lot of success in those clinches. Jamie, quite a boxing-centric approach, but you couldn't really very difficult for either person to kind of put their stamp on any of the exchanges in that fight. Like, it was a real back and forth battle.
Yeah.
So that was one of those fights that you looked at and go, okay, we've got to do that one again. Possibly even more than once. And then it's an interesting wrinkle when you get it back together, but it's on this kind of short notice. Obviously, Jamie, you sort of favour off of that because he was preparing for a dangerous 5-rounder in Cruz. It's very stylistically different, but not sure how kind of specific the game plan would have been.
Yeah.
Both guys, I guess, considering it's short notice, have the advantage of 5 rounds against each other to kind of build. They've got a feel already. It's kind of just they'll come in like it's round 6. Anytime you get a late notice fight like this, you never know how the guy who came in late, how he's been training and stuff like that. I know Dan trains all the time. He lives in the gym.
Especially like Moyu at the moment, they seem to have like a lot of a lot of good fights coming up as well. So you imagine he's in there,
very strong, stable all the time and getting stronger. And he's Dan's a close training partner of David Pennenpate, who's going to fight George, of Josh Tono, of these guys, so just got a lot of guys coming up. So I'm sure Dan's a fixture in sparring, clinching, getting ready with them. He's always fit as well.
Yeah.
Very, very interested to see it. I think, like we said, the last time was very much a coin toss fight. Yeah, close. Super close. And same thing. I know both corners thought they had it. So let's go again. I'm interested to see this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So overall, it's a great fight card from there. Like, we'll probably, if there's some sort of link to kind of post on this show notes, it'll be there. If not, just look up, the 1774 Muay Thai.
Yeah, there's a link. We'll get it. So it's on live boxing. Excited. It's a good card. There's they kind of got it real broken to amateur and pro. They got their Rising Stars card. So a lot of developmental work. I'm keen to see 1774 kick off. Just see what they can do. Cool to see the WBC back in New South Wales because it is the premier sanction globally now as far as rankings are concerned and national, international, world titles. A lot of exciting developments and very interesting structure. Like when you've got kind of like 2 of the top fights on the card, obviously Dan and Jamie and myself and Jesse are up towards the top end of the same weight class within New South Wales. And now you've also got Cruz. Is sort of like you had 2 really good fights with Cruz and Jamie and myself and Jesse, and then you've got you've now injected Dan in as well. Stacked weight class, a lot of good stuff you can do off of this, and
there's lots of potential.
Yeah, it's exciting times. It's good to see another show really having a go at becoming like one of those higher end professional shows to add into, because we need a couple more, I think, regular ones in New South Wales, but everything's moving in the right direction. I'm super excited as both a spectator and a fighter to do this next weekend. So
nice.
See you Friday.
Nicely done. So let's go downwards. So we're going to go into Melbourne now, Victoria. So they have there's a K1 tournament happening. I think we talked about it. It was very early announced late last year.
Yeah, it was announced like 8 months out or something.
Huge prize pool as well. It's like when it gets 20 grand.
20K.
It's like a 40 grand prize pool in total. So people getting paid.
People getting paid.
It's good.
Yeah, good to see.
It's like, damn, if you got the cash to throw that around, it's like, yeah, good on you.
20K to win 3 fights is actually still pretty brutal.
Yeah, it is. It's a brutal game. It's like, it got released, I think, the other day, the final card lineup from there.
Final for now.
Yeah, for now. Because there's been a few changes now. As you would, like, it's why not many people do these, like, 8-man, because they just fall apart so quickly.
Yeah,
and you got to get scrambled, and it's like and it is a hard weight division to get people in general.
Yeah, this is an interesting one because when they said we're doing a 78 kilo K1 8-man, I was like, that's cool, but 78 kilo is not it's not a weight class, but that 76 to 79, not ultra populous. Like there's top guys, but it's not like it's a real busy category.
I'm not too sure. Like, you know, like I'm glad it's on, but like I always got to think like, you know, it's like I got to put my promoter hat on. I go. So who's the A side? Who am I trying to build? What are we trying to build here?
Yeah, it's interesting. Because not a popular play, and also you got K1, which is like barely even exists anymore in Australia. Yeah, it's a Melbourne sport. I mean, like, and fair play. Like, Melbourne's was historically a kickboxing state. So
great legends.
Yeah, a lot of legends and a lot of people that were really involved in the heyday. So yeah, I got nothing against kickboxing, and I think it's good. It's good to see like an avenue for it. But what you end up with if you're trying to do an 8-man, you got to look at like who's around. You do end up with kind of like a bracket of Muay Thai fighters a lot of the time, which is not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing.
Not a bad thing.
It can be interesting to see different styles. Although that's what K1 was invented for, right? Was for different styles to kind of converge in a uniform stand-up rule set. But look, we know who the man to beat is in this bracket.
So like just going over the bracket a bit, it's like, and like when it first like started the first lineup, and it goes like it's decent, and it still is decent, but it's not, like there's names in here I go, wow, I would have never. Guys, and like I'll be honest, like I don't think it has like everyone named in here, and I'll be honest as well, I don't know some of these guys.
Yeah,
and that's fine. I'll just go the guys that I do know though. So we got Cody, avid listener to the podcast and asks the questions from there. He's in it. It's like, you know, it's good to see he's like taking that step up against competition.
Yeah, he's got some big steps up lined up because he's gonna fight Jake Lund after this as well.
Yeah, on Destiny.
That's big,
and that's another fight. Like, wow, like a Destiny Muay Thai. Jake Lund's coming back. K1 fight.
K1 fight. Yeah, it's
Cody,
weird.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's a bit weird.
It was like, make it happen.
I like it. Yeah, cool.
You got let's see, Daniel Barber as well.
Yeah, look, don't sleep on Dan Barber. Yeah,
so had some great fights with Lewis back in the
day. Yeah. Had a good showing against Lewis. Hasn't been around like super active recently, and quite small for this weight as well. Yes. But yeah, real strong. And he has been back as well. Like he's had a couple fights. Like he fought Fran Sanchez. It was like the year before last now, but before before time. Yeah,
before.
And he looked strong, looked good. Knock Fran's clean.
And he's like, you know, he's like, I think has his own gym in Central Coast. I'm kind of sure. I'm not 100% sure on that, but that he comes down here, does a lot of work with like Palanchok.
Yeah, trains at PTJ. Yeah. So that'd be a good move for him.
I never thought I'd see this guy back in action. Michael the Badass Badado.
Most important thing to note, if you're unaware, is that Michael Badado is like, or has had a coaching role with Cody. Like, so Cody and Michael are both in this 8-man, and they're both like, Michael, like, you know, Full Force Gyms, the Badado brothers, led by Reinhardt Badado, but Cody trains there as well. Like, these two train out of the same gym. Yeah, like, I don't know how, like, I need to talk to Cody. I don't know how that worked as far as where each guy trained.
Like when you're, like, especially same thing, promoter hat back on again. It's like, if you got some guys in the same gym in the tournament, you'll be afraid that just go, well, if they both find themselves at the end of the tournament, from there, that like, yeah, it's like, oh, you know, well, I'll let you and we split it. It was like, you know, there'll be some fuckery involved.
Yeah. Look, I know these two won't do that, but yeah, you make a good point. Like, I would be very, very apprehensive to let two guys from the same gym in the same, but especially in that kind of like hierarchy of like a trainer and student kind of. Not that I don't know if Michael was ever Cody's trainer per se, but I know he is our trainer at Full Force Gym. Yeah, you would be worried that, especially for 20K, that they just go. But it's a random draw bracket. That's kind of how you can sort that out.
That's how you got to do it, isn't it?
But yeah, like it's very. But I mean, it's the same time. I know these two, like, if they get in the final together, they're just going to beat the shit out of each other for sure.
So we do it in the gym for free anyway.
Yeah, so. For real. And it's just one of those things, right? Like, you got 20K on the line. You can't, man, like, just go do it and may the best man win, you know? Like,
that's right. That's exactly right.
I respect it, to be honest. I probably wouldn't do it myself. Like.
It's funny, though. It's kind of like if it was your situation, it would be like, you know, you and Rowan. Just like
no, me, Kai.
Oh, you and Kai, yeah, that's like probably a nil one.
Either or.
I
like my chances a lot better against one than the other, but I won't take it.
So we got Nasser Kassir from there. Don't know about anything, but I'm sorry. So, but like, you know, solid competitor, put his hand up on the, like, a list of killers there.
He like more so like the actual kickboxer of the bracket, I say. yeah, again, like more of a Muay Thai guy myself, so I haven't followed super closely.
So I got Samad Jana. Sorry, man. I'm just not going to say your name.
Seen him on Rebellion.
Yeah, it's like, I remember seeing him as well. It's like, your name's just hard, bro. Sorry.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, look, it's just interesting.
Another one of these ones that kind of just like, we got this initial 8-man announcement and the guys kind of filtered in and out. So one of these guys that sort of, look, a lot of the guys in this bracket, they've stepped up to fill holes in like what was a really strong tournament. So fair play to everyone. And fuck, like, I've never done it. Fighting 3 times in one night. It's a massive ask. So
it's like especially like, you know, it's not like we're doing like an IFA format where you got some pads, even though it's still brutal. But like when you go like full pro, it's like it's pretty hard. Like you don't know what's you want to have like probably even a couple of reserves on the night. Like that's
I'd be interested to see how that's structured. Yeah, because you would
guarantee someone has to be dropping out.
But that's the other thing. Like we talk about why it's so hard to put together an 8-man in a bracket in a weight division like this is you don't just need the 8, you really need 12.
Yeah, you need some backup.
Yeah, you need 2 backup fights at the start of the night that can just be waiting in the wings.
Of course, yeah, it makes sense. So we got Guy Coleman from there. That's like, yeah, it's like he's fought a couple of like, you know, like not the top echelon guys, but like, you know, just like that above, like, you know, waiting for that breakout.
Yeah, those guys that kind of show that he's coming up. Got like a very awkward style. I feel like he could be I don't know how you want to put it. Like, definitely like the dude that maybe is a little bit of an unknown to a lot of the bracket, but he's just got this like kind of just like punishingly annoying style, like to fight. Like he's just big. He's quite awkward. Just kind of like holds guys up. Like and look, I've seen a lot of his work in Muay Thai has been like using his frame in the clinch. So I'll be interested to see how he goes. You know, obviously that's limited in K1 rules, but still big, kind of awkward, knows how to use his frame to kind of make things awkward for the opposition. So, yeah, interesting to see Guy Coleman in there.
And then, really at the top of guard, a couple of dudes who have matched the fight.
Yeah, this is interesting. Have
Jaden Enod, if I said that right.
Enod,
yeah. From there, from Strikeforce Gym, always like a top competitor.
Herculean physique.
That's it, man. What a rig. Look
Like he got like I say this to George the other day as well because we were talking about him because they were going to fight. That dude got like a 20-pack. Yeah. I wish I had that.
He is. And then like our boy Charlie Bob.
Yeah, this is like, I feel like, look, Charlie's the man to beat in this tournament. That's not to say, look, anyone can take it, but I think if you were to seed this tournament, it would be pretty easy to call Charlie number 1. That's probably the sentiment, I'd say, across the scene. Jaden would be up there as well.
Yes.
By nature of experience, like he's world-ranked Muay Thai fighter. He's fought a bit of MMA and a bit of kickboxing too, so he's well-rounded. As far as his ability to cross between the styles. And he's a natural 78 kilo, which is not a lot of bracket are, to be honest. And even at some point, there were actual 70 kilo fighters. Like, yeah, there was like in this bracket. Like they're falling. Because
when we first the first lineup from there, I was a lot of times going, oh, really?
Because like you can see, like I'm like, okay, 78, but you fought 72.5, you're coming up, 76 coming up. But these actual 70 kilo fighters that were just going to weigh in soaking wet. And it's fair play. Like if I had nothing on and you call me and you're like, you want to go fight in this? Like it wouldn't be my first choice and someone probably wouldn't let me. But, but like if you were like, do you want to fight at 78 for 20K? I'll just be like, yes.
Yeah.
Because fuck it.
Have a crack at it.
Like think about the best case scenario versus the worst case scenario.
Yeah, you most likely not going to see that money anywhere else. Like, you know, especially for the level some people are at.
Yeah,
you know?
So just have a go.
They all can't be Toby Smith, you know.
Yeah, but that could be interesting. Like you said, these two being Jaden and Charlie could pretty fairly call them like towards the top seeds. Were matched last eruption and Jaden unfortunately was injured. Jaden was then matched with George and that fight fell apart because of some border stuff. So been a bit of a tumultuous ride to getting a fight for Jaden, but you know he's in shape all the time. Yeah, interesting to see if kind of these two clash with each other. I'll be fascinated to see the draw that comes out of this. Yep. That will make a big difference.
It will.
Yeah, so like I think for this tournament, I'm excited to see it. Like we mentioned, it probably is not the bracket that we wanted. And not that we wanted, like probably...
Not what we envisioned.
Yeah, it probably lost a little bit, but that's what happens with 8-man tournaments. I think the promotion have done a really good job. It's a balancing act to keep an 8-man together. Yep. I think the man to beat, like, this is what I love about an 8-man. I love the drama of it. It's reminiscent of the K1 Max. Charlie's the man to beat. I don't think that's sort of in doubt, but it's a lot to get 3 fights done in one night. You don't know Depends what happens. I do think there are some dark horses. Like, you've got Cody Jameson he's been doing very well. He's very recently professional, and I would say in like a kind of, he did get one back. He got to fight Ershan Shakari over in Canberra. So I would probably call that, as far as like a level thing, probably his professional debut. He did have some pro fights before that, but pro is somewhat nebulous term, as we've discussed before. I think he's obviously lining things up to really try to have a breakout year with this, and then to back up Jake Lund not even that long after, like the following month. So look, it's going to be very interesting to see where his career is at after the next 2 months, because he's got some big opportunities. And he's a very promising young guy, and he's very young. So yeah, definitely like that kind of, every tournament needs kind of like the up and comer, and like him and Charlie would be a pretty good fight.
It would be honestly pretty good.
Yeah, it would be a good fight.
Good. I'll be interested to see like a lot of these guys stack up like frame wise to each other.
Yeah, because there are going to be some matches in this shit where you go, fuck, these two are not the same size.
That's a big guy.
Especially Jaden, like that dude is massive. So like, I think you got Jaden would be a hard ask for anyone. Very athletic, very strong, big, very experienced. That's like experience. Experience is everything in these tournaments, right? Because you got to get in there 3 times. Your ability to adjust yourself, and that's the other thing that makes him so exciting. Is you can look at this and be like, okay, Charlie's the highest level guy, but what happens if Charlie smashes his shin up in the first round and can't throw one of his legs? Gets cut, gets anything. Like, the way that you can readjust your approach is a massive thing. And some are better at it than others. Sometimes you get 2 guys and you go, the result, if they fought on just kind of like an individual fight, can be very different, because one is a tournament approach is better. And I don't think anyone like knows the right way to do it. Everyone talks about, do you stay warm? Do you rest in between fights? Do you that? And
I know it's too hard.
Yeah, and it's that whole strategy game as well, where people talk about like you're coming into fight number 1, you can't be thinking about fight number 3, but you've just got to go in and kind of, like I said,
you can't really game plan for 8 dudes.
Yeah, and like I said, I've never done an 8-man, so I can only speak from what I'm looking at. But it's like, there's always going to be things like, do you fight a different way to kind of conserve? Do you try to take a hands-only approach in fight number 1, so you've still got legs in 2 and 3? But what a lot of people will say after an 8-man is that you can't think about any fight beyond the fight you're in. And I think that's probably, it's like anything. Like, if you're fighting a guy on an individual fight, if you're thinking about anything but just dealing with that fight with your full repertoire, you're not giving yourself your best shot. So some really good, I'll be very, very keen to see how the draw goes. I think that will be fascinating. I'm really keen to see this play out. I haven't seen heaps of the super fights announced. I know there's some dudes that have been saying they're on the show, so I'm keen to see what the rest of the fights are. I'm still thinking of going down for it.
Hey, it's like he's get back on those, get those 5 miles back up again, eh?
Yeah, but I mean, like, that's how I'm thinking about it. It's like, I don't know what's going to be happening. Like, I'm not buying a ticket for if I'm going anywhere, I'm buying the plane ticket the day before.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know when the whole country's going to shut down.
Just a last minute thing.
But there's some good fights coming out that I want to attend. You can get me to your show if you tell me you need a commentator. That will get me in the house. I'll commentate any show. I'll bring myself because I want to go anyway.
Boy wants to do work.
Yeah, but I want to work. So if you promote Prince Promotions, I'll commentate your 8-man.
That's it.
And I will do a good job.
Just remember, just contact your boy. I'm not going.
I don't have any kids.
I got a gym, kids to run and shit like that. It's like, old man.
I have no responsibilities whatsoever.
That's it. All right, cool. Yeah, it'll be an awesome content.
Good to see an 8-man back. I'm seeing an 8-man. Oh, we've had like a while since the last. The other big 8-man in Australia is the Rebellion 8-man, which is always sick. It's been a while since we've seen an 8-man.
It has actually.
Yeah.
Because
it's been a while since we've seen fucking anything.
So also coming up from there, it's like we talked, like, you talked to George about it before, and we might be looking to get the promoter on anyways.
Yeah.
Talk about like, but like, obviously look towards like coming up soon is Muaythai Grand Prix.
Mm-hmm.
Coming back, it's a great main event.
Awesome, man.
David Pendepe versus George Mann, both boys that we had on before and know personally. It's like, it's an interesting fight. Like I said, we'll probably get we'll get.
Yeah, we'll go into detail on it kind of like the weekend before, especially. Fuck knows what's going on in WA. So.
It's got our lockdown now, so we'll see. I heard they have to wear masks still, like when they're training in the gym.
I think from what I can see, like everyone's kind of confused about what the rules actually are in WA. But I saw lockdown ended at 6 and Riddlers did class at 6:01.
Nice.
I like it. But yeah, good to see our friends in WA.
Awesome.
Cut down that community transmission and can get back to work. So
that's it. Get it. All right, so I think that does for the local stuff. I'm talking a little bit of international stuff from there. We go to Thailand from there. Some of the stadiums might be looking to open again. Some of them might be looking to close down as well.
Yeah.
So it's a very interesting scene that's going on there.
Lots of development in Thailand, in the Thailand scene, in line with I think the kind of COVID shutdown has kind of set the wheels in motion for a lot of kind of like systematic change into the sport. Like we have seen new shows emerge and we've seen Thailand really have to move away from what, like the stadium's revenue is built on what happens in the stadiums, gambling and live attendance, and the ones that were equipped to kind of leverage television exposure and things like that, the ones that survived. So we have seen the Pet D show, the new Pet D show, and Moyu. So the Friday night show has really risen to become one of the premier, like probably the premier of the last 12 months. That's been the show because it's stadium formatted, but it does borrow some of the things that we've come to expect from that entertainment format. Because what we've got is like we've talked about this before, you got the entertainment format of Muay Thai, the Max Muay Thai, the Super Champ, that kind of thing. Yep. 3-round fights, lights, camera, action, very, very television-centric product. And you've got the stadium style, which is a lot more about that classic Muay Thai style. The gambling is a huge part of it. It's very, very traditional, and it's a lot more about, as far as revenue stream, is what's going on in the stadium. So what we had to see was like when things started to close down, crowds were not allowed. It was the entertainment shows that could survive, but they are not the pinnacle of elite level Muay Thai stylistically. So we saw Moyu once, so because Pet D is very, very contemporary Muay Thai gym. But the owner is very modern in his approach, and he took that stadium style but gave it a television format, got some good exposure. So with limited crowds, they could still put on a stadium formatted fight nights, and they are the ones that first came back. I think they're at Rangsit Stadium, if I'm not mistaken. I think they were. There was
a bit of I think it was that time there was a bit of exodus from like Rajadam.
Yeah, there was. Because there's a bit of like I don't know it in detail, but like sort of like the promoters weren't getting offered any rent relief with no crowds, and that's where all the money comes from. So like, there's no way to make any money. But they did also, even Rajadam, I remember earlier post-lockdown, it feels like years ago now. But last year would come out and do empty shows with just YouTube streams. Like even Rajadam had to, when after post that exodus, had to go, well shit, we've got to do this. It was cool. You could watch, like I watched Gaunar versus Rod Tang was, or Gaunar definitely fought with no crowd, just on a free YouTube stream. And that's like what these the Pet D show does. It streams live on Facebook. It's got like a nice setup. It's got like a little bit more of that kind of like television geared kind of arrangement. But now that the stadiums are opening back up, it's Pet D that's been quick off the mark, and it is interesting to see. It's funny to see how the priorities shift, because we're getting a lot of the one championship guys that have been put that way, and now coming back to fight in the stadiums. Because Pech Morocco is going to fight Tananchai, which is going to be a real, that's a big fight, and it's interesting to see. Pech Morocco does seem to be able to just flip between the stadium and one championship style with relative ease.
He's just really kind of like, he's kind of settled into like without. having to change a whole lot of stuff. Really.
Yeah.
It's just like he just kind of found the style. Goes, I can do both of this pretty well.
Yeah, because he was a very classic stadium style clincher in the latter end of his stadium career. I mean, like his stadium career is not over, I guess. But before he went to one championship, but did kind of internationalize a little bit. I think we've talked about before. Got a little bit more aggressive. His boxing's very tidy now.
Yeah.
It's not conventional, but he's boxing really well. He works behind a really nice jab. Still quite a knee centric style, but not a lot of that kind of like control based clinching.
Yeah.
He'll need that against Tananchai, who's a very aggressive fighter. A little bit more. I mean, still fighting a lot more in the stadiums.
Yeah.
So that's a good fight. We're also in this kind of like because we basically got like a cluster of shows announced kind of in quick succession. Sangmani is going to jump back in against Chajaron as well. That's a rematch. Chajaron's a lot bigger than Sangmani, but Sangmani got him last time. Interesting, Sangmani's in sort of some mixed form. Got absolutely shadow realmed by Kulab Dam in one championship is when
I would have predict that one.
Yeah, me neither. They were supposed to rematch in one of the stadiums before.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, before things kind of got shut down again. So I'd like to see that. I'm a huge Sangmani fan. Yeah, but Chacharon's so big. Like fought Magnus Anderson, for example, at 70 kilos and like in world top king and beat him. You know, so Sangmani's a lot smaller than
no stranger going up.
Yeah, like you never catch Sangmani fight at 70. But I think that it's more a matter of like it's a big cut for Chacharon than it is like Sangmani coming up heaps. So and Sangmani's fought well against guys that he knows how to wear guys out. When like best example being one of his fights with Tawanchai, where Tawanchai had just cut too much weight to get down there, and Tawanchai started strong, and Sangmani went on to stop him. Just because he got so exhausted, and Sangmani got that smooth style. So yeah, it's good to see Sangmani back. Good to see some of these big name guys getting back in there. Yeah, Pet Dam's going to fight too.
Yeah,
Pet Yanda and Pet Indy. So yeah, it's good. I mean, like Thailand, I think has become one of the best, like most responsive nations. That just like everything is completely shut down again, but then it's just like one day, like they come back, right? This guy's fighting. They're just they're just ready. They've learned how to just wait in the wings, I guess, like which is cool to see. I hope they stay open this time. I talked to a lot of my friends and
like there's been things circling around that like Lumpini might close its doors.
Interesting, and I'll try not to speak to this too much. I want to talk to someone who understands.
Yeah, it's very early days. It's only just got some.
Yeah, and
news.
I want to talk to one of my friends who kind of understands the goings on in Thailand a little bit better and can probably read the news stories in Thai would help. Yeah, but apparently just in line with some military establishments being repurposed as kind of wellness type centres. Lumpini's potentially on the chopping block as getting repurposed as some kind of...
I think it's the response is like if there's no fights in there, we're going to put other things in there.
That would have to be a part of it, yeah. Especially if, like we talk about this kind of, the stadiums are kind of losing their luster, even just purely economically, like people are starting to lean that kind of entertainment show way. Apparently the military, it had something to do with a response to the shooting in Korat the year before last. They went on some kind of part of like kind of like the follow on from their response to that has been repurposing some of their grounds for centres aimed towards wellness.
Yeah.
I think the plan for Lumpini is to turn into more of a sports recreation centre, a military sports recreation centre. So they would practice things like martial arts, like Thai boxing and Taekwondo and stuff as well in there. So that's a possibility now. I don't want to see it go. I think there would definitely be people that would be like, it's not Lumpini anymore anyway. And that's a valid point. It's Lumpini in name rather than luster. It's not the Lumpini that it was. It's a nice stadium. I've been there heaps of times. I don't want to see it go. Even like the name's a part of it though. Like it is still.
Well, I guess Lumpini. Like it would just feel weird if you lost Lumpini because it's the name itself and
I don't want to see. Yeah, I prefer to keep I mean, like Lumpini Stadium's nowhere fucking near Lumpini, which is kind of one of the reasons that makes it not Lumpini Stadium anymore. But yeah, it's I don't want to see it go. I don't want to go back to Thailand and it not be there.
It just won't be the same.
It is like for me as well. It's like I mean, I've had some awesome nights there. So just purely personally, I'd rather be able to go and visit it again. And it is a cool stadium. It's that's the thing is like people don't like that it's not like the classic Lumpini, but it's a very modern facility. It's like really awesome when you go.
I haven't been to it.
Yeah,
no one.
But yeah. So look, it's interesting and it's an interesting, like we said, a kind of a culture shift. In that, like we're coming back out of this shit and we've gone, shut Lumpini. Like the sport's changing.
It kind of feels like that. Like, so you got these more modern like promotions like P&D are doing, and that's what this shit feels, and that's how evolution goes.
It's not all bad, but I think there's ways to evolve where you can preserve history as well, and I think that's so important in sport like Muay Thai that's so rich in history that you can't just let kind of financial economic development let you just be like, you can't just go out and be like, look, Super Champ makes a lot of money, let's tear down Rajadamnern. Like it's a sport that's so steeped in history, and I think that's what draws people to it so much. Like I know for me a huge part of, like, I didn't start in Muay Thai exactly, I just started martial arts. What drew me to Muay Thai was this feeling of becoming a part of something that has such rich history and such, like, it's a very heritage based sport. There's so much to learn in it. I think preserving that, evolving while preserving historical elements are really important, and you've got to strike that balance. So I think it's the precedent as much as anything. If you just go, we're getting rid of Lumpini, anything can be on the chopping block.
Yeah, that's it. It's like, what's next?
At the end of the day, if you're always going to go this way, that way, this way, you kind of realize, like, if you respond to every kind of, like, I guess, market change and make these really broad changes to the sport, sometimes you have nothing to fall back on then. Like, you have to remember the sport's foundation, like the tried and tested parts of it, even if different things become trendy. Like the history of Muay Thai is a huge part of it.
That's right, definitely. All right, so let's go towards the end here. It's like I put on the Instagram, like, ask a few questions, topics you want there. We've got a couple from there. So one of them's like person we just talked about, Cody.
Hi, Cody.
Hey, what's going on, mate? So he asks, like, how active is too active to fight? How long between fights do you think it's okay? And we did touch on that a little bit, but I think it's different between amateurs and
very
pros.
Different. Yeah, I mean, like, I answer that question with how long is a piece of string? Like,
but I feel like it's realistic. You can put your name down for a lot of shows as well, but, like, realistically, you probably won't get on half of them.
Yeah, and this is something that I talk to a lot of, like, the guys that are coming up about. Like, when I talk to the guys in the gym that want to fight, like, I have absolutely no tolerance for bullshit. Like, people, I think a lot of people like, you say there's a difference between amateur and pro. Like we've mentioned, that's quite a nebulous term. Like, you might be a pro, but still very much being developmentally in the amateur phase of your career. How active is too active? There's a lot of variables. For example, are you hurt? Like,
it's like we're all damaged.
Yeah, like if you break your leg in one fight, no, you should not fight. 2 months later,
it's like did you get concussion from your last fight? You
Take a rest.
You probably shouldn't fight for a month.
Because like we like to talk about, you should fight as much as you can fight, but that's as much as you can fight and stay healthy. Right? Like, for me, honestly, there was a lot of luck involved. I got to have a lot of fights in quick succession because I didn't get hurt.
Yeah.
I got hurt, but I didn't get injured. There were elements of having to work around pain points, as there will be if you want to fight every 3-4 weeks, but you learn to do that. But that's part of that gaining experience, is like sometimes, I had heaps of fights as an amateur where I was like, I can't throw my right leg in this fight, so I've got to throw my left leg, and then that gets better. Or this hand hurts, or I've got a spot here, I've got to move differently. Like, that's part of developing, is you don't have all your weapons all the time. I'll take this from two angles. For me, personally, maybe you'll agree, disagree. I think, as an amateur, fight as much as you can fight. It's not going to always be a perfect arrangement, but you should, I don't think there's a number. How active is too active? 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 1 week. Depends how you pull up. But I think you got to come up with a system, like, sometimes you do get to points in a sport that you can't really compete in that conventionally professional format, where like you got to understand if you have the bandwidth in your life to make room for a fight camp. Because if you're getting to a point where like I know some people's work is seasonal, you get to a point where you're only in the gym every other day. Yeah, it's time to say, okay, I can't fight.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that's more down to you've got to move your life around. Like I talk to a lot of people that say like, oh, I can't fight as much as I would like because I don't have time with work. And the reality is you have the time if you want it. You don't have time to do your work and your training camp and all the other bullshit that you want to do. Whether it's bullshit, probably not bullshit for you. But there's things you could cut out. I believe that, yeah, like sometimes you get to a point where your life will not let you fight and you kind of can't really, like you shouldn't fight if you are not able to train properly. I wouldn't even say optimally, because sometimes you can't train optimally, but properly. Like,
of course, if you're thinking about like, I'm training, like I can't get off work so late because I can't do my habits, but I'll supplement it for a run. So if you start to get to that point, don't fight.
Look, sometimes you got to move shit around, and it's not perfect. It's not going to be perfect, but you got to understand. Sometimes you will get to a point in your life where you're like, because I get people like, oh, I've got this shit on at work, so I can only train 2 days a week. I'm still going to fight though, and it's like, no, you're not. Like you're not. We're not going to book you for one because you're not going to train properly. But yeah, I think how much is too much fighting? When you're an amateur, you got to set yourself up so you can just train and fight. I think it's down to a lot as well. Don't take long breaks after you fight. Take a rest, a couple days. Like when I fought, same thing. It changes for me a little bit now. So I'm going to get into it in a second. Like always when I was having amateur fights, I was back on Monday, and like I was training. Sometimes just as completely normal, because the most of the time I was fighting in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So that's what it comes down to is like, yeah, I do believe you should be as active as you possibly can in the early going of your career. When you get to the place where you're kind of really having a go of it, you're fighting at a higher level, you've got to be a little bit smarter. And I think we succumb to this mentality a lot in Muay Thai of like very Thai style. They fight all the time. They don't pick and choose. That's not exactly correct. At the high level in Thailand, like all the Thais have had hundreds of fights, but actually it's quite political. It's like any other sport. At the top end, people are being fussy about which weight they want, and it's like any professional sport. They are actually quite picky about where they'll fight because they manage like professionals.
There's a lot of negotiating.
Yeah, they fight more than Westerners, yes.
Yeah.
But it still has those elements that any sport has. I think once you get to a point where you're competing at more so higher level, and you've demonstrated your capability through those busy kind of amateur period of your career, yeah, you've got to start taking charge of who you fight and when you fight. So will you get 2 fights that do a lot for you 3 weeks apart? Maybe. And maybe you've just got to turn it around and do it quick then.
Yeah.
Should you necessarily take a fight 3 weeks after if, it's not an opportunity? Probably not. Then you should probably be a little bit more like selective. Like it might take some time for you to get the right fight for you, and that's fine, because that's the other thing. You got to develop some patience. Learn to not just go for every single fight. Learn to take the fights that actually make sense for you. So I think it's a very interesting question to get into. I think a lot of people have the wrong idea. I think people in their amateurs and early professional careers are trying to approach it in that kind of like professional MMA boxing format of just fight and take a complete rest and then come back and have a fight camp. Like I hate fight camps. I hate the term, especially for amateurs. Like, oh, I'm going to come and do 8 weeks. Like you don't need that. Like you seriously don't. And what you will develop from doing 8-10 week fight camps is so much less than what you'll develop in just fighting 2-3 times in that period of. So because like you also don't need to have like a really strict game plan when you're an amateur. Like
it's not enough time to play with.
Yeah, you're just trying to develop your foundation. You're not trying to like really pinpoint what needs to work for a certain match. So yeah, I think how often is too often? Very, very situational. Like what's going on in your life, how well can you train, how injured are you and stuff like that. I think, it comes back to you should fight as often as you can, where you can put your best foot forward.
Yeah.
And it does change amateur to professional. You get to a certain point where you can't just fight for the sake of fighting. It's not worth it for you anymore. You got to hold out a little bit and take the fights that have the potential to elevate you forward. And that comes down to knowing what you want. And that's conversations I've had with a few people recently for my own career.
Yep.
Is like it's about knowing what you want to do and understanding how to take the steps to go towards that. So yeah, an interesting question, and I think very commonly misunderstood.
Yeah, it's like also like my take on it from there is like coach and the same thing, just promotion wise as well. Like you got to have a look at where do you want to take it to? Like and you have to put investment into shows as well.
Yeah.
Like so, like let's say if you want we want to be on Rebellion. I think that's your goal, and like be a mainstay in Rebellion as well. And like Size talked about it for me, like taking like in amateur fights and like getting a lot of bullshit titles as well doesn't really matter. And
yeah,
like,
that's a great point.
And Sai will tell you this himself.
Yeah,
he goes like I only see the big ones, the big your WMCs and your WBCs. You guys don't know, it's like MTA champions and that as well. It's like there's a process and there's a
ranking system
in there, but and then
an approval system as well. You can't just put a title on any fight. Yeah.
From there, so it's a lot of amateur fights. Just gotta remember that it's like, taking all those title fights. If they're bad, no, it's just good experience. But don't try and trump it as a resume to give to someone like Sai. Because it's gonna be a little bit embarrassing as well.
Yeah,
when you get knocked back.
You make a good point. Like that's real important as well. It's like we said, fight whenever you can fight when you're an amateur. And fucking happened to me here. Like New South Wales is a place where there's a billion bullshit sanctions. And unfortunately, you can't fight in a good sanction or in a high-end sanction all the time. And sometimes what they're going to do, like when I was an amateur, I wanted to fight 5-round fights because that was more ring time. It's because Muay Thai is a 5-round sport. So when we'd say, we'd put my name down and we'd go, we want a 5-round fight, a lot of time we landed on these kind of shows that will put titles on everything. Yeah, and the other side would say, if we're fighting 5 rounds, we want to. I never asked for an amateur title. Never said, put me in for an Australian title.
It's not our thing. Like I've never gone to a promoter and go, I want my guy on a title. I go, I just want a 5-round fight, but they always be like, that's we'll put it. I don't care about titles. Like,
and I had to do
experience 5 rounders.
Fucking South Pacific title, Australian title, Commonwealth title. Yeah. Like, and then this is the problem that I see all across the board in this sport is I got these fucking dudes on my Instagram feed, belt, like belts everywhere. Like you've had less than 20 fights across your amateur career, and you're getting around court, and like half of these dudes have only fought in the state that they live in, and they're talking about I'm a 5-time Australian champion, 6, and it's so no one. I don't know. This is the thing. Is like who you're impressing with that is your mates that have no idea about the sport at all. It's not impressing anyone. Like no one is promoting a good show and being like, this guy won the ABCDEFG South Oceanic title. Like let's put him on this big show. Like I feel like we're so past the point now. Like at a community level where a dude having 20 belts means anything to anyone. Like because if you have that many belts, like it doesn't make any sense. Like you got a WBC, even like the WMC titles honestly have become like a little bit forgotten. Like this WBC belt's a belt. There's only one. Like that's not bolstered by having 7 more other ones. Like everyone just know we need like titles. It's straying from the question, but it's just an excellent point that you make. Is that build your experience, but don't attach status to things that mean nothing, because that will not drive your career forward. Yeah. Like get your experience and really treat, and like take whatever titles and trophies and whatever. Like it's fun, it's memories, it's cool. You can put it up on your trophy case. That's fine. That's nothing against dudes who win these titles. I think people need to understand it's just about your development, your fight by fight development. We have too much now across Australia. People, it's becoming less of a problem, but I actually think New South Wales is the worst.
That's fair.
Yeah. Is that you've got dudes wearing 8 belts on their Instagram and legitimately parading that like it means anything. When a lot of the time, the guys that are getting the opportunities on the higher shows did not do all this title shit. You honestly, in your mind, might believe that you are a step ahead of someone because you have these titles, but they're just fake. They mean nothing to the. I've said this many times.
It's like it doesn't add up to anything. Like in terms like, because like you got Australian title goes, that's cool. So you fought someone from what WA. What rank was he in that sanction?
Yeah.
And it's like, but it's not quantifiable. It was just like, we just put it together.
Yeah.
And it's a selling point. I get it as a promoter that you got to sell tickets, and usually titles sell tickets.
Yeah, and I get it as an athlete.
Yeah.
Like wearing a bunch of belts. If you're a PT, I've been there. Like,
you start a new gym?
Yeah, you start a gym. You want some clients. You need just that brand building. A lot of the time, the easiest way, that comes back to the idea is you are marketing to the layman, not to the sports aficionado. Like, I just think you got to get, and for real, if you got it, leverage it. I understand that's sports marketing, but I think like what it comes back to is, as you're in this activity level, as what, when we're talking about what kind of grows your career, it's just down to whether do you think that means something, and if you do, you might be holding yourself back. You might be holding yourself back by trying to kind of think that to attribute some worth, or that maybe like I've seen this many times as well. People actually turn away from the opportunities that will help them in favor of the ones that will give them like a kind of superficial championship or a superficial accolade, because they get like too narrow about like, oh, you need to win titles. No, you don't. You don't. You like, the end goal is probably a title of some kind, but not any title. Yeah. And then you will convince yourself you are something that you're not, which is a problem too, you know?
Well, like, because there's a lot of like, obviously like, don't want to fucking like, hurt too many people's feelings about it.
I don't care.
But it's like, I get it. It's like, but it's good to like, you got to recognize it. Like, I think fighting on a prestigious show that you build up to, like, if you got into rebellion, you earned that spot, is more important than any kind of East Coast Australian title that's going around a lot of times.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot more prestigious to fight on a heritage show. Really, that's
100%. And like I've talked to guys before. They're like, really, I just want a title. You hear that word? I want a title, any title. Or I've heard this. Well, I want a belt. I really want a belt. Yeah. Why you want and that's the promotional structure has done this, is that people kind of feel like they don't mean anything until they have one, just because. But you only feel it that way because everyone's got one, and if everyone's got one, what does it mean?
Everyone, and like it's the same thing. It's like a lot of people that get these titles. How many people defend them?
Never. That's why they have 15. Because
and next month that title goes up for grabs again. That's why it makes it a little bit meaningless.
And like I had amateur titles where I would be fighting like the guy who was the title fight was put on for, and then like I would win, and then the other dude would get to fight for that exact same title. Like, you remember a specific example of this? They'd be like, "Do you mind if we just vacate that?" And I'd be like, "I don't care."
But yeah,
I already lost it.
So it's like we're going to the next one.
Yeah, just to give that same dude another title.
I made it a point as well, like when we're running our shows and like you guys got into the titles, that we also actually got him to defend you defended.
Yeah, I defended my MTA
titles. Luke defended his.
Yeah.
We had Jody Bulgari come in and like, he had a fight with us and he defended it.
Yeah.
Tried to defend it.
There, yeah. But then you've got like what Nathan Jones won that title. Yeah. He won the title from a reigning champion, which adds some legitimacy. Whereas like, because we just see title fights, it's just two dudes fighting for a vacant title. Yeah. It's made up. Yeah. So when we've talked about this a lot before as well, but it ties very well into the point of activity and career development, is that if that's your focus is wrong. Yeah. Plainly and simply. Yeah.
Next question.
It actually has nothing to do with the original question. Yeah. But Cody, that's a good question. The answer is we don't know how much is too much. It's very, very situationally dependent.
It's on you, man. It's up to you and your coaches, like, seeing what's actually feasible.
But that's a dude who's doing some good things. He's backing up the opportunities he can do so.
He's like, he's on the scene, like, from there. He's fought on good promotions as well. And he's taken some legit step ups.
Yeah, he's taken a big step up. Yeah, so good question, an interesting question, and a lot of talking points. So, yeah,
that's it. Luke Taylor, the boy, is like, fuck, get that man to fight someone. Like,
that's been hard. Hey,
yeah, it's been dropouts and things like that. But we'll get him something soon. So hard sparring versus light sparring.
He has said to me in person that he wants me to talk about this on the podcast, and I respect that he sent it through as a question via the traditional means.
Look, yeah, it's like
I feel like we probably talked about this before as well.
But like, you know, same things like with people that's like just coming new to the podcast as well.
Yeah.
And just see like what we think about it from there. Like you need both, obviously, but but you need probably blocks. Like hard sparring is important. Like, you know, do I think you have to hard spar multiple times a week all the time, and also you spar to the point that you're legitimately trying to knock each other out?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I don't think that there's anything beneficial out of that. But I think hard sparring is important, and like you know, speaking to someone like Jason who had a fight the other week, from there, looking good, fought into it, but he came in like I was missing the meanness.
Yeah.
From there, like, and like, you know, I assessed that and talked to Ryan about it, and they're going to send him down the final round. Boy, Huss, who's been on the podcast before. That
Good guy.
Like, yeah.
I've seen him for a while.
Yeah. Like,
I miss you.
Exactly. So on the other week, it's good to talk to him. He looks like he's going good.
Yeah, good guy.
But like, yeah, it's like, look, I think we need a bit of a change. I think you need to spar these different people, and I think you need to get an environment that's like it's going to breed a little bit more aggression into you from there, because sometimes you might get complacent, like, you know, knowing how to spar certain guys and whatnot. But like, look, like light sparring is good for development, for like you can do it all year round.
Timing, yeah. You can be a little bit more experimental, yeah.
But like, but hard sparring all the time from there. But like, you know, like, what do you think hard sparring is? So like, how would you quantify that?
Yeah, I think this is an interesting question, because like I can definitely see the value in hard sparring for dudes that having their first couple fights, because it's a dress rehearsal.
Yeah.
Me, I honestly don't give a shit if I never hard spar again in my entire career. I don't care. I like it. I love it. I do it every day because that's what I wouldn't, but like I like to hard spar because I like to fight. Fair. You know, like I think most fighters like to spar hard. I don't care if I never spar hard again, because I've had like a decent number of fights. Like I don't need to get a few. Like I think hard sparring in your early career is like, it's like you look at like what kind of like Kieran and Aram have done at their gyms, is like they have like fight shows in the gym. That's essentially just like hard sparring. You're even manufacturing a little crowd. Like you're making a day of it.
Yeah, the Floyd Mayweather doghouse.
Yeah. Do a bit of hard sparring early in your career. It just gets you used to staying composed, and you feel like the energy system is so different that you realize how tired you kind of get when you bring out. Super important. And like I did heaps of hard sparring when I was heaps of hard sparring when I was starting. Like I only sparred hard. Like when I was a kid as well.
Going to Mike's gym.
Yeah. Oh, actually, fuck. Yeah, I don't want to talk about it. I forgot about that. They spar hard there. I did heaps of hard sparring when I was starting, and now I honestly am at a point where I still spar hard. Oh no, yeah, I spar hard sometimes, but like I don't honestly. I think it's very different for boxing. You'd be hard pressed to find a trainer that advocates not sparring hard for a boxing fight camp. Whereas in Muay Thai, you will get trainers that never have their guys spar hard. I think the hard sparring versus light sparring thing for me is the question is. I mean, you asked me this question, I'm answering with the questions. What do you mean hard sparring? That it's like sparring like you fight, like you are, the end goal is to KO. Yeah. Never do that. I think you can spar. For me, I'm super picky about sparring, how I spar different people and who I spar. Because like I have some guys that I can spar solid with, but he always has control. Like we can turn the heat up a little bit, hard body kicks, hard low kicks, maybe 60% strikes to the head, something. It's just like looking, but still sparring. It's not fighting, like, but it's a little bit harder. It's got that body tempering element to it, but we're still not pressing in these spots and like really chasing down damage to the point of injury, just kind of like conditioning each other. Yeah, I get some great rounds like that. I've got a couple of guys in the gym I can work really well like that with. We can turn the intensity up a little bit. I think the other thing with the hard sparring versus light sparring that's so important is everyone has to be on the same page. Yes. That it's like, we got to know, and I fucking spar with some dudes like this as well, where I'm playing and they're not playing. And I said this many times as well. Actually, Luke asked a question. I said to him, a lot of time it's up to the other guy whether we're sparring hard. Because sometimes I have these like rounds, like I tend to start like real light in the gym because I'm the most experienced. yeah, I'm the most experienced guy. And like for the most part, I don't need to spar hard with a lot of the guys that I'm sparring. There's like a cluster of guys that are the higher level fighters in the gym that we can spar hard with each other. And there's a lot of other guys that are like a lot less experienced and really need to kind of just get their flying hours up.
Yeah.
But like if we've set the precedent, like we're sparring light and I can feel you, like I want to help you. I want us to spar light and develop, but fucking like, you're not like getting some work on me. Like to be honest,
taking
like
advantage of it.
Yeah, and like I'm just I mean, I don't know if it sounds bad. Like I will just be straight honest. Like I'm not going to verbally tell you I would prefer it if you sparred lighter. You've just made your decision. Like I've done this.
You've chosen death.
I've done this heaps of times in the gym. Like I just go out there and I'm just like, okay.
Yeah.
Like you made your decision. And then because like I said, I like sparring hard. Like I don't want to do it. I don't think it's the best thing for me, but like you can convince me, you know,
twist that arm.
because this is my thing with the sparring. Like I think generally like most of our guys at the gym have like a really good tempo. We don't really spar hard.
Yeah.
When guys are sparring newer, especially if we've got a couple guys that are newer together, we'll let them work a little bit. When we're having guys that are coming up to like their first fight, you'll turn the intensity up a couple of notches. But again, I'm generally the more experienced person in that. So it's not on me to just start blasting. I'm just, in a calculated sense, dialing the intensity up in that, like, if I'm kicking your leg, I'm not just touching it, you're going to feel it. And you've got to work around that. Like, that's important to let people understand how to make adjustments.
Yeah.
And you need to feel a little bit of realness to that technique to make adjustments.
Yep.
But for the most part, I feel like even when we're in like our more fighter-centric sparring, it's still very controlled, and that is still sparring. But yeah, like I think everyone getting on, it's the problem with hard versus light sparring is so often, Tom, it's just that escalation.
Yeah.
And you talk to two dudes who really started going at it in their sparring grounds. It's like it's always the other guy's fault.
Yeah, so he went hard.
Yeah, he went hard, so I went hard, so I went hard. So like, yeah, but I feel like most of the time the people who can't spar light actually don't have enough control to fight intelligently because they're too emotional.
Yeah.
I feel like fighting is a practice of controlling emotions as much as it is learning your techniques.
Of course. It's like, yeah, if you don't control it, then you leave yourself open, don't you?
Yeah, so the hard versus light sparring thing, yeah, I think it changes with your career because sometimes as well, like you get those really good quality rounds of just sparring light and actually experimenting. But you sometimes do just get a training partner who they do not have any capacity to control their technique. So if you're starting to play, you could get hit. So, or like it's that taking advantage thing, like it's the thing, like, because it comes back to that point. Like if I'm sparring light, I feel you going hard. Well, I've said this, I've had this conversation with newer guys in the gym. Is like, as soon as I can feel there's some intent on what you're doing and there isn't on what I'm doing, now we're not sparring, you're trying to hurt me.
Yeah.
And I take that personally. Right?
It's like, yeah.
Yeah, but you know, because I'm trying to spar you, but you were trying to hurt me. You were trying to fight me. So like now it's just, I'm just got to defend myself. Because it's also, and like I have so many tantrums in the gym. Not really tantrums, like, but I'm not afraid.
But you can tell. It's like you can tell when it's like, well, that's
no, but I mean, like, I'm not afraid to just give an impromptu speech in the gym, as you're aware.
Yeah.
Because I want these fucking people to know this shit. So I'll be like, I don't know. Someone needs to stop me sometimes. I'm just like, all right, everyone, listen. And sometimes, especially,
it's like, you know, it's like how many times I've done it. Like, you know, Saturday class. Like on the 10 o'clock when we sparring, it's like, you know, newer guys coming in and it's like, you know, do the thing.
That's the open floor kind of sparring
and
format. It's
like,
not
there's
just
been many
fighters.
times I've stopped the class to go, hold up. You motherfuckers are retards. Like, like seriously, like, you know, this is not the vibe. Like, you know, it's usually newer people. It's like, but you just gotta lay the law down.
Yeah, and I do that. Like, you and I do the same shit, really. Because I'm not gonna tell you and you and you. I'm just gonna be like, and we're all gonna listen. Is that like, when I'm looking around the floor, you might want to fight. That is awesome that you want to fight someday, but the path to your success is not fucking just making the actual fighters, the existing fighters, angry. You know, like, and I said, as soon as, if you're here and we get this, like, people when they first start sparring, their sparring sessions, they're the fights for them.
Yeah.
They're the things that they've worked towards. And like, I get it, like, it's that kind of sparring weekend warrior thing, is that like for you, this is the pinnacle of the sport in your scope right now.
This is my Lumpini.
Yeah, but to me, this is Saturday morning, and I have a professional fight career. So you're going to try to come and potentially hurt and injure me for what? This is your weekend, and this is my, my pro sporting career. That's just a fucking shit trade-off just for you to get your kicks and go home and be like, fuck, I sparred sick today. Like, you've got to take the importance away from the event of the sparring and just apply it to just your stylistic development. It's a piece of the puzzle.
Any different than doing Thai pads.
Exactly right.
Like yeah. Shadowing. It's just part of the process of learning.
But yeah, to pull back to the question more directly, I think hard sparring has its place. As early in your career, it can be very helpful. I think light sparring more I think you should learn to spar in a way you can spar every day, and I think sparring every day can be awesome. I think if you told some people I spar every day, they go. That's because they don't know how to spar. Like I spar a lot of the guys at the gym. Luke's a good example. We could spar every single day, and we'd level up every day because we spar things like our sparring is also not ever stylistically the same because him and I are quite similar in that sense. As we're often trying really distinctly different things and putting on different styles. But if you're sparring hard, you won't do that. Or you're sparring an arsehole, you won't do that because you can't try a new style without kind of treading into sort of compromising positions. That's how you learn anything. You don't master it from the start. But if someone's just trying to bomb you, you will kind of stick to what you know.
Of course.
That's where sparring dynamics super important in the gym. But there's always an asshole.
there's always one. Cool. Another question that we have was from Jake Davis, long time listener as well. He asked about your fight and 8-man coming up. So we already answered
Rewind.
that. Yeah. So that's all right. Don't worry, we didn't miss your question, mate, from there. And really, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it today.
Keep sending us questions. I like unpacking the questions.
Hey, this is good. It's been a while since we've done that, and it's it's good though.
It's good. Good to shoot the shit.
Yeah. But other than that, guys, so remember from there, your boys fighting next week.
Fighting Friday. Friday.
We do a podcast.
People are asking me about Saturday. It is Friday. 1774 Promotions on Facebook and Instagram. We'll post the link as well. But yeah, grab a ticket as well if you can come out. Only VIP seats are available, but treat yourself.
Where's the after party, mate? That's a important question.
Oh, actually, yeah, we'll talk about
it. Figure it out. All right, people. Thanks for listening again, and we'll catch you next time.
See ya.
See ya.